I gotta be honest, I am terrified of getting old. I'm having a hard time dealing with it. I'm having a hard time dealing with the fact that I'm gonna be 39 this year. I'm almost 40. I'm basically at midlife. I'm lucky enough to get to 80 or 90 years old. Like, this is it. This is my midlife. This is me going over the hill. The more I think about it, the more it stresses me out and it almost makes me sad. I'm not here asking for sympathy. I just kind of wanted to talk that out because I'm sure that a lot of guys my age probably feel that way. A lot of dudes that are approaching 40 or 50 years old are probably feeling this a lot. I know I can't be the only one, but it's weird because I sit back and I reminisce and I think about my younger years and I know that they're behind me now. And I know that many people say that your 40s and 50s are some of your best years, but I feel like I'm not done with my 30s. I feel like I want to relive some of my 20s. I don't want to go out and party and get wasted and have one night stands and do all the crazy, stupid stuff I did when I was 20 years old. But thinking back and having some of those memories and thinking about how fun it was when I was younger makes me feel sad about getting older. It makes me feel like maybe I didn't do enough or maybe I didn't enjoy enough of that time and I took it for granted and I didn't realize how quick it would go. And then my 30s were kind of a blur as well because in my 20s I partied and wasted a lot of time, and in my 30s I worked on getting my life together and trying to figure things out and getting my life on track and starting a family and pursuing a career and doing all those things that you're supposed to do in your 30s. And as much of a screw up as I am and as many mistakes as I've made throughout my life, everything worked itself out and I did okay. And I'm honestly not sure how that happened. I guess I did take some of the advice from people when I was younger. And even though I didn't apply all the things that everyone told me I should do, I applied enough of those things that set me up to be in a better spot now. And I think about like my 30s and how much I worked over the last few years and how much I worked in my 20s too, because I worked a lot in my 20s, but like how much I really focused on like career and work and setting myself up for my future. And now I'm looking at my next 10 or 20 years through my 40s and 50s. And I'm thinking like, man, is this it? Like, is this what I'm supposed to keep doing? Am I supposed to just keep working? Am I supposed to go out and look for more? Or am I supposed to just do what I'm doing and continue to do what I'm doing for the next 20 or 30 years and then just retire? It feels weird. It feels strange because it feels like so much has escaped me and there's so much more that I want to do. And it feels harder now that I'm older. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm having a hard time with the age thing and getting older. And apart from financial, career, life goals and stuff like that, I'm also feeling much older in the sense of my body breaking down and being in more pain and not seeing the gains that I would see when I was younger and packing on extra pounds and having so much of a harder time losing weight and getting in shape and recovering and feeling beat up all the time, feeling tired, feeling like I don't have energy, feeling how I never felt when I was 20 years old or even 30, right? Because I'm really close to 40 and you would think that in 10 years, not that much would change in your body, but it does. And I remember I would go to jiu-jitsu twice a day and work out for hours on end when I was in my early 20s. Now I can barely get through a 1 hour workout or get through a couple days at jiu-jitsu in a week. It sucks. Honestly, I don't know how else to put it, but I try not to dwell on it too much. And I try not to think about like, I'm just waiting to die now. I can't think like that, and we shouldn't think like that. We should focus on trying to think about the good stuff, right? Because since I did make some good decisions in my early 30s and set myself up in a good spot now, I do have disposable income. I think about that line from Step Brothers.
Can you imagine if we had these when we were 12?
Even better. We got them when we're 40.
I remember when I was like 20 years old, I tried to get a new computer and I couldn't even get a credit card at Fry's to build a PC so that I can play WoW. Now I have an 800 plus credit score, which is crazy. I'm a responsible adult, but I don't feel like a responsible adult. I don't feel like a 40-year-old man when I was a teenager and I would look at someone who was 40. They were like a dinosaur. They were so old. They were on the brink of death. They were geriatric, had gray hair, and they had hair coming out of their ears and nose hair that was gray. And it sounds stupid, but I remember being a kid and looking at people who were older and thinking like, man, I do not want to be old. Like, just euthanize me when I get to 40 years old. And now I'm 40 and I feel in my mind that I'm still a young person. I still enjoy things that I would have thought I would have grown out of. Maybe it's a sign of the times, maybe it's a generational thing, but you think when you're young, you're going to get older and you're going to change the way you dress and change the way you act and change the way you are and who you are. But the truth is, you can do those things, but they're like superficial changes that you kind of have to consciously make. I'm a software developer, so I don't have to wear button-ups or polo shirts to go to work. I work at home. Half the time I'm in my pajamas when I'm working. I'm wearing sweats and a t-shirt or a hoodie. I don't dress like an old man would dress. And it's not because I'm having a midlife crisis or I'm trying to relive my second childhood. I don't wear throwback jerseys like I did in the early 2000s, but I also don't feel like I dress like an old man, and I don't feel like an old man. Even though I don't think I am, I am. I can feel that I'm getting old. If I'm accidentally around some 20-something-year-olds and I hear them talk, I'm like, I have nothing in common with a 20-year-old. But in my mind, I feel like 20 wasn't that long ago. I feel like I could relate to a 20-year-old, right? I like video games. I like hip hop music. I like social media and TikTok videos. I'm an old man. I'm not going to be a poser. I would never be that 40-year-old that's at the high school parties, right? Because I'm not a loser. But I think about people I used to see that would come into the nightclubs when I was 20 years old. And I think about those dudes. You could tell that they were trying so hard to still be cool. I think I'm cool. I don't think I'm the guy that would show up at a nightclub right now, an old BMW, dressed in True Religion jeans or whatever the kids are wearing nowadays, but that's what it was back when I was 20. You would see those 40-year-old guys in True Religion jeans wearing Ed Hardy shirts, and it's just like, man, you're old and you're a loser. Like, what makes you think that this is appropriate? But I get it now. I get it when I'm 40 and I'm thinking like, man, my youth is behind me. And I think about all those years when I was a kid, and I try to think about the good things, right? Because my childhood had a lot of bad things too, but I think about a lot of stuff like just growing up and being a kid and enjoying those things, and then being an adolescent, and then becoming a young man and a young adult, and then becoming an adult, and now being damn near a senior citizen at 40 years old, right? Because that's what I used to think, and I'm struggling with it. I don't know what to do about it, right? Because there's nothing that you can do. I work out hard to try to stay in shape, but then when I go and I train with some 20-year-old guys, they just run laps around me because I don't have the energy. I don't have the endurance. I don't have the same testosterone levels that I did when I was 20. So I don't recover as fast and I get injured easier. I don't even know why I was making this video. I just thought about like how quick it happens and how one day you wake up and you're a grown up and you have responsibilities and you have kids that call you dad and you're married and you have a house and a mortgage and you have car payments and you have a career and a job and responsibilities and all these things. And sometimes I just want to go back to when things were easier, I guess, and when things were simpler and there wasn't so much worry and concern. There wasn't as much stress. There wasn't as much responsibility. There wasn't people who depended on me. All I had to do was go to work so I can make some money and then drink all day and party all night and play video games whenever I wanted and basically have that freedom. And like that freedom is gone. And I get that some of that freedom is gone because of the fact that I have children and I have a family and I have a career, right? But that's what you're supposed to do. I'm not someone who's always played by the rules, but there are certain things that just happen in life and there are paths that you're supposed to take, right? Because I wanted to have kids. I wanted to get married. I wanted to build this kind of life for myself, because if not, then life is empty. When you're young and you have all that time, you tend to spend it and waste it on things that don't matter, because nothing really matters when you're that age. And as you get older, you start realizing like how finite life is, and you start to figure out what's important and what brings you value and what brings you joy and what will bring you joy in the long run, right? Because when you're young, it seems like you're more in the moment. And as you get older, or at least from what I'm noticing as I'm getting older, is that I'm focusing more on the big picture and like what does happen in the future for me. And the way that I think about life and the way that I think about those things are very different now. And I guess that comes with maturity. I guess that comes with the old age. And it's a good thing because that means that I'm growing as a person, as an individual, and growing old as well. I guess at the end of the day, it's just life. That's how it goes. That's what's going to happen. You know, there's only one thing that's guaranteed to all of us in this world is that we're going to die one day and that we're going to get old. And getting old isn't even guaranteed. As you grow older and you get closer to that end life and further away from that beginning and early parts of life, you kind of see everything for what it was at the time, and you worry more about what's to come, but you have that nostalgia, those memories and that feeling of reminiscing on the good old days and the fun times that you had and the friends that you had and the relationships and experiences that you had. And sometimes you can get caught up wishing that you can do them again or that you would do things differently. And maybe I'm in this spot now where it has me thinking about the what ifs, like what if I would have done this or what if I would have done that. It's not good to get stuck in the past, right? You should always be thinking about the present, focusing on the present, because if you're stuck thinking about the past or you're worrying about the future, you're not living in the moment. And really the moment is all we have. We don't know when our